afternoon, good evening, good morning, affirmers. So glad to have you here with us for another amazing conversation today. You know that we are women supporting women's. Here we speak nicely to ourselves, right? So, contact information, you see it on the screen anytime you need us. Reach out to us. You have a question, do not hesitate. Today, we have, as usual, hot conversations, but to even heighten the hotness of this show, we have a special guest that we are all very familiar with. We're so excited to have her here as our second guest, as a part of the AM Affirmation Podcast Space. Listen, we have the amazing, the fantastic, the phenomenal Miss Shirley Felder, also known as Coach Shirley, and to join us today for our conversation on rewriting your story. Rewriting your story. So before we bring her on, I want to ask a question of the ladies here as well as those that are listening. When it comes to rewriting your story, it's about taking control of the narrative. What does your story tell the world? I myself have rewritten my story, but Miss Marcy and Miss Clivia, I'm going to give you guys a moment, give you a second in a moment to answer that question. But as we are about to prepare to answer, let's bring Miss Shirley on so she too can join in this conversation. Miss Shirley Ann Felder,
Hello,
welcome.
ladies. Hello. And thank you so
Hi,
much for
Queen.
the invite.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, ladies, gentlemen, whoever's listening, of course, my name is Karen Fairweather. I am the Affirmation Whisperer and one of the hosts here of the AM Affirmation Podcast, along with the beautiful, the amazing, the astonishing Miss Marcy of Marcy Moments. You can find her on IG with her Marcy Moments. Make sure you follow her on all the socials. And last but not least, Miss Clivia, hashtag her chosen story. She's an editor. She's a writer. She is a playwright. She's a producer. She's a mom. Listen, the list goes on and on and on. And I'm so honored to have her as part of this conglomeration that we're doing here. You can find her on all the socials. Make sure you follow her. She even has a podcast on Spotify. So make sure you hook up with her and get into all the great things she has going on. I have going on, as well as Miss Marcy. And not to leave out, Miss Shirley Felder can be found on all the
Yeah.
socials too. Listen, her following is probably bigger than all of our followings put together. So
Yeah. Tell me about it.
So
It's
there's
not
her
my fault.
website there that you can find her. You have two places that she can be. You can connect with her, including the social. So she's got about 10 connections that you can make to get in contact with her. She's an amazing coach. I've known this powerful woman for just about 4 years, maybe a little more, somewhere in that area, right, Shirley?
Yeah.
So get in touch with her. All right, y'all. So to answer the question, rewriting your story, taking control of your narrative. I admitted that I have rewritten my story. Now I would like to give you ladies a chance to chime in on the conversation as well. And Miss Marcy, what say you?
um, my latest rewrite of my story, I am so grateful that each woman on this podcast was a huge part of my rewrite. Um, and I was thinking about it. I was like, don't get misty eyed because um, each one of you had poured into me so much during my rewriting of my story, and the gratefulness, the words could never be there, but rewriting my story from anxiety, depression, and even suicidal thoughts to now when I speak, I
Mm,
only speak luxury words to myself, and no one can, all the negative words I return back to sender, because you cannot speak to me in a manner that does not lift me higher. And that's how I rewrote my story. I rewrote my vocabulary. I renamed myself. Instead of making myself small, I'm powerful. And when I walk into the room, the whole atmosphere shifts because I'm
Yes.
there. So that's just a part of the rewriting of my story. But once again, I am so grateful for you ladies, you beautiful, divine, feminine goddesses, for pouring into me to allow me to be able to
Yeah.
speak those words.
Girl, she just started preaching up in here. Yes.
That's right. I love it.
Right,
I
Shirley?
love it.
Miss Cliffy, what say you on this subject today here?
Yeah, I love the subject of, rewriting our story. Hence, hashtag her chosen story. I mean, in 2020 is when this hashtag, her story originally came about, where I wanted others to share their story. And I was silent for years. And just like Marcy shared, I believe this space right here is part of my story, right? And sometimes we wonder, well, what would my next chapter be? What would that look like? How big is it going to be? How long is it going to be? Is it going to be happy, sad? And to understand that my story is, of course, still unfolding, I call it my testimony is being established every day, is such a beautiful thing. To have my voice again, to be on this platform, to even do what I'm doing and to do what we're doing is such a beautiful, beautiful thing. So every day this story's been being written, and even, using Marcy's word, the luxury words,
Oh,
that
yeah.
is now part of my story, where I'm able to now speak into others and be spoken to. It's a beautiful thing, and I'm enjoying this story. I'm enjoying this chapter, and I know the best is yet to come. Yeah.
Ah, love that, love that, love that. Our
Yeah.
producer added in the chat, and I love when she chimes in. She says, uh, and not allowing a ragamuffin um to take authority or authorship over your story. What, girl? Yes, yes, and yes. Miss Shirley, go
Don't
ahead.
let
Say
a
it again. Say it
ragamuffin.
again. Say it again for the
Okay,
people in the back of the
you got to
room.
say that with a little attitude. A
Listen, and not allowing a
ragamuffin.
ragamuffin to take authority or authorship with quotation marks over your
I love
story.
it.
You can't allow it. You can't allow it. And Marcy, first I'm gonna publicly say this. I'm borrowing that word from here on out. Luxury. I love that. I love that luxury word.
Yes.
And as we all shared about how we rewrote our story, why we did, right? And some of us are in the process of still, right? Here's the thing: if someone is listening to this today and has not rewritten their story, then you need to contact one of us, whichever one of us resonated with you the most, right? Because everyone has a story or five,
Yeah.
right? And we keep evolving. So our story is going to keep changing. It's going to get sexier. It's going to get better. And then we might drop down on that roller coaster ride, but then we're going to come back on up again because we're supposed to keep rising, right? Because still I
Yeah.
rise because we're all phenomenal women.
Mm,
And, for me, I've had much like many people listening and like the women that are here with me today, I've had many losses, right? Many U-turns, right? Many tumble overs, many where in the world am I? So we had to rewrite the story. But think about this, because people are getting that oh my god, that happened to you mode, right? If it didn't happen to you, you ain't got no story.
yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
So
so the stories and these obstacles, these adversities, whatever you want to call them, I call them opportunities, whatever you want to call them, they are what has made you who you are. And if you still crying about something, if you're a 40-year-old woman and you crying about what your mama, your daddy, your uncle, your auntie, your brothers did to you, your sisters did to you, then you need one of us to help you fix that story, because
right.
that
Mhm,
means you're stuck. And I don't typically like the word stuck. I like constipated, because you're not going up, down, left, or right. You just sitting there. And
mhm.
you weren't brought here to just sit there. God doesn't, I don't care who your God is. David, Jehovah, I don't care who he is, Jesus, whoever he is. He did not bring you here to just sit here and be miserable.
Yeah.
Yes,
There
yes.
is a way out, and it's through your story. And if you sitting still, you're not making things happening, right? And you either on this journey of life, you are either winning or learning. You're not
Mhm,
losing. You're not losing, right?
mhm.
Couple of us had a divorce in here. That wasn't a loss, because whoo, sweet baby Jesus, we found ourselves.
That's
right? We
right.
got lost in that marriage, right? So we found ourselves. So some of us might have got fired from a job, released from a job. Look at what we're doing now because of it,
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
these things are not, and we got to get rid of some of these words that may have served our ancestors.
Yeah.
It is not a loss. It is not a
Yeah.
loss. It is an
It's a game.
opportunity.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Opportunity.
So
Yes,
good.
I love it. 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 So listen, I didn't share all of my story now because I want to hear from y'all more than me, but I too rewrote my story years ago when I just realized there's got to be more. Had to reshape my thinking, hence the affirmation whisperer. I had to change how I spoke to myself. And we've all said it here. We had to change how we speak to ourselves. What you think you will speak, what you speak, you will do. It all goes together. What you
Yeah.
think is what you're going to speak, and what you speak is what you're going to do. So, in understanding that, finally, I had to use those luxury words, Miss Marcy. I had to think
Mhm.
about me in a different manner. I had to realize what I've experienced were opportunities for me to get to the next level. Because I don't know about you ladies, I declare, had it not been for what I experienced, I don't know that I would be the woman that I am today.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know that I would be the woman that I am today. And I'm a powerful being. I am a powerful being. Y'all hear me now?
Mhm.
But it had it not been for the experiences that I chose to see as opportunities and not obstacles. Notice I said chose to see as opportunities and not obstacles, because obstacles, we will make them so big and so grand, they stand right in front of us and we can't see to the right, to the left, to the top, or to the bottom.
Mhm.
But when you see it as opportunities, then you're like, okay, how can I change this opportunity or reshape this opportunity into something I can do to empower me, to release me, to free me? When you start thinking that way, Miss Marcy was in a place that she knew she could not be her greatest version in that place. So she found others to tap into as we do. So rewriting our stories. Let's dig into this a little bit more, y'all. We got some topics I want to cover and I want to talk about them so that we all can explore them together. Because when it comes to rewriting your story, it's up to you. We don't want to allow other people to rewrite our stories, because then you don't know what's next. You're waiting on somebody else to tell you what's next. Now,
Mhm.
we just mentioned this a little bit: limiting beliefs and past stories. Ladies, a story that happens, an event that took place in our past, whether it was the recent or the distant past, that if we would have allowed it, it would have caused us to be in a place of limitations, of
Mhm.
lack, right?
So true.
Talk about that for just a moment. That
Yeah.
place of lack or limitations. What portion of your story are you willing to share, that an experience or opportunity, if you will, that you um, existed in for a moment, that you realized you needed to get out of there? What you got to say about that? Just jump in there, y'all. Y'all
Oh,
just
I'll jump right in and I'll
start.
piggyback off of what Coach Shirley said and everything we've been talking about. I remember being on a highway, leaving the Poconos in 2017, hearing someone sitting next to me calling me so many different names out of my name. And that was the point where I said, year 7, it is finished, right? Fast forward to 2024, in a car driving down some highway in Griffin, Georgia, the person driving said, do you think you would have been here if not for what happened in 2017? And I'm like, no. And when people tell me, oh, I'm so sorry you're divorced, I am not sorry. Thank you so much for what we went through, because I would not be the Clivia you see here today. I probably would have been still in Brooklyn, still living in where I was living, and just in that place. That had to happen in order for me to be who I am today. So that story of that past story, thank you so much, right? That chapter is closed. And here I am, chapter 40, and I'm loving it. I'm loving every piece of it. And it was because those chapters had to be no more. Even recently in December, another chapter, business chapter, had to close in order for me to now reinvent. We spoke about reinventing ourselves. And I'm so, I'm so happy. If you guys understand how happy I am with the chapter that I'm in right now, being able to dance again, helping people publish and tell their stories, it's an amazing feeling. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
As Clivia, oh, I am happy I am divorced now. Um, and I told the story actually days, like maybe 2 days after um I told my husband he had to go, was when the opportunity for me to be in the anthology Healing Through Divorce, You're Not Alone opened up.
Mm,
2 days late,
mm,
2 days after I finally said, yeah, no, this is not going to work. And that's how, but I wrote through when I was in my deepest, darkest hurt. But thank God it took me almost a year. But when I actually wrote it, I could look back and be like, oh, wow, the healing process. And
Mm.
like you, Clivia, I heard someone, and it wasn't my ex-husband, but I heard someone tell me everything that I wasn't as
right.
a woman. And
Right.
that played in my head, and it played in my head what I wasn't as a woman, what I wasn't as a wife, what I wasn't,
Yeah.
and it played, and it stayed
Oh
there too
my.
long. But baby, let me let you know. What I wasn't, I'm good with it because
Right.
now you figure it out.
Right.
You figure it out.
Love
Now
it.
you see all of my teeth. And you
There
always
you
did.
go.
But baby, the joy, Clivia, that I have. What is it? What did Jill say? Living my life like it
It's
is
golden.
golden.
Yes, ma'am. I love it.
You know,
Yes.
as we're talking about, the thing, something from the past, typically it's always something from the past that is holding us back. And what it turns out is we didn't have words for it then,
Right.
right? We were either in the thick of it or too young for it. So we
Right.
didn't have words and emotions and feelings. So we started snatching them off the wall, off a book, off a TV, off of what's going on with mama, what the pastor said, what the teacher said, and we just put it together for ourselves. So my story was that I was a single mom. I had to find me a man, anybody, somebody, because you can't be raising a baby by yourself. And people going to talk about you and you look bad and this, that, the other. And then I happened to find a guy who was chasing me down, chasing me down. I was like, well, I ain't never had this before. Perfect, and we weren't made for each other. We weren't made for each other. Now, we didn't have a horrible life, anything like that. We were actually really good friends for 18 years, but we weren't in love.
Right.
We were just accommodating because we didn't want to be alone. Neither one of us wanted to be. We both had a kid, right? He worked hard. I had ambition. Sounds like something good. We built a beautiful business together. We took care of each other's families and each other's children together. But at the end of the day, we were oil and water. He
Mm.
liked rock music. I liked R&B. I said Barry White. He's like, who in the heck is that, right? He didn't even know how to turn off the lights, okay? He didn't know what song that was. So it didn't mix, but we made it work for 18 years. And he cheated, and we had a peaceful divorce. And I went to him very simply. You've been busted. And I realized that I could first I was afraid to say it. I knew the information. I knew I had them. And I said, we didn't fight while we were together, and we don't need to fight while we are apart. It'll take too much energy. And we don't need to fight about money or nothing else. It's all mine pretty much. You can have all the toys. And we had a peaceful divorce. And so I'm happy I had the divorce because I took away the story that as a woman, you need to be in a bad situation or uncomfortable or an unloving situation because that's what society says. Because people are going to look down on you or it's not good for your child. It's not good for your child to watch you be in a bad situation because then they're
Exactly.
going to accept that and think, oh, well, if mama went through it, I can go through it too. Right.
Absolutely.
So therefore, for me, I dispel that myth. And the beautiful thing about it is we parted as friends. But here's the win I got. Oh, sweet baby Jesus, I found myself.
Yeah.
I
Ooh,
got to cook what I wanted to eat, right? I
Yeah.
got
yes.
to wear what I wanted to wear.
Yeah.
I got to walk around the house like I wanted to walk around. I painted the whole house, recarpeted it, put real oak doors instead of cheap Luan doors. It's just a simple thing sometimes, right? I got to do all that stuff because
Yeah.
it's what I wanted. And what I
Mhm.
found was myself. And I found that I didn't have to play small. So I didn't feel like I was emasculating a man by speaking out, by being who I am, by authentically being myself.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so that's the other problem. We want to make other people feel good and make ourselves play small.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that was my win. I found Shirley. I became who you see today. And I packed all that other stuff away
Yeah.
because I found the light that I needed to shine on other women so they could be free.
I love it.
Awesome. Awesome. I absolutely love everything you all said. Now, we talked about those limiting beliefs. Now, limiting narratives, common limiting narratives, those thoughts, those that real or will that we play in our mind of those old stories that have happened or even recent stories that have happened that we've pushed the repeat button on and we allow them to just keep going and going and going and really have us in a place where we are afraid of what other people will think.
Yeah.
So those limiting narratives that, well, I don't have this. And I'll tell you what one of my limiting narratives is. I don't have a college degree. And I think all of you have heard me with this conversation before, right? Not having a college degree, I don't believe this, or I don't know about that, or maybe this and maybe that because I don't have a college degree. Now, I'll be honest, it comes up often for me, but I have to change the narrative by saying, look at all that you've done so far
Yeah.
without a college degree. Now, I'm not saying anything about those that have achieved it. I applaud you. I applaud you. It's just not something that was in my life for me to do, right? But I have done some amazing things without a college degree. I
Yeah.
have to consistently talk to myself. You're literally going to let some letters or a piece of paper keep you from accomplishing what you are purposed to do? Girl, if you don't wake up here, right? I have those conversations with myself because it's a narrative that I have built for myself to give myself an excuse why I couldn't do whatever back then. And I put that reel on repeat for it to keep coming up and coming up. But I had to rewrite that.
Mm-hmm.
Even without a degree, look at the amazing things I have accomplished. So, ladies, let's briefly hit on this one because I definitely want to get to the next one to talk about. But limiting narratives, what limiting narratives, briefly, if you could, have you eliminated from you, and how did you rewrite that narrative? Miss Shirley, what you got to say?
So, so we know each other. So mine is the same thing, that college degree. And I was still fighting with myself about it, even after running a multi-million dollar business with over 150 employees, taking 10 women from welfare to work. And here I am saying, who are you to do this? And hiding in the dark about, well, they might find out I don't have an education. Because when I go place, people say, Shirley, come and speak. And I'm like sweating under my armpits with people in suits, right, who have all these business degrees, and I'm in business, and I'm lucky if I could push the right buttons on a calculator, right? And so for me, I was always like watching my back, like trying to be
Yeah,
careful, dotting every I, crossing every T, wasting time because I didn't have that education. And much like you, um, it still comes out every now and then. And then that's when I say, girl, look to your left. Look over that left shoulder. That's all them people who've been cheering you on. And on that right, you see all them buildings, competition, people with degrees who can barely get up and say a sentence. And you worried
yeah,
about having one? Again, nothing against people who have them and use them, but I know people who should just use them for toilet paper because it ain't serving them, right? And so for me, it was very important because I did get a scholarship to go to college, and I did do a year and a semester and dropped out.
yeah,
So therefore, for me, that narrative was, who are you to be speaking in front of people? Who are you to be teaching? Who are you to be owning a business, in 2 states? Who are you to be doing these things? You don't have no education, girl. And that's just a myth because it's all about your determination. And my determination at that point, I said, I need to feed my babies and I need to give the kids that I brought into my home a better life than what they had and a better life than what I had. And all it takes is some passion, some endurance, and I don't give a shit attitude because
Ah,
you can
love
feed
it.
me, clothe me, make love to me, pay my bills, make me some chicken soup when I'm sick. You ain't got no business in my business.
Hello. What's it's the three F's theory? The
Yeah,
three
yeah,
F's.
yeah. Well, you know,
Yeah.
I try to be nice
Yeah.
this time.
Miss
Email us if
Cynthia.
you want to know what the three F's are.
Yes, sir.
So
That's
the three F's are if you don't feed me, if you don't finance me, and the last one starts with an F and ends with a K. I'm just because I don't know who's listening. Yeah, that's the last.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
So
I'm loving it.
if you don't do at least two of the three F's, I am not concerned about your opinion of me and what I do and how I do it. So that's the three F's.
If you ain't doing all three of them, I don't care. But
Listen, I know this. Well, that's another subject. But Miss Clivia, what you gotta say?
Limiting narratives for me was that I wasn't enough. And I had to grow out of that. Again, going back to these luxury words, being in that affirmation space from, I want to say 2022, understanding my worth, knowing that I am enough. I'm doing the thing and I'm deserving of it all. So I really had to grow into knowing I am more than enough and I'm chosen. Yeah.
Love it, Miss Marcy.
so Kron and Shirley Ann, I definitely have to piggyback on everything both of you said. Not having a degree, but God had put me in a place that I'm I'm a best-selling author on Amazon. Um, I'm a speaker. I I'm on podcasts. I'm a podcast host. I get to sit at the table with government officials, politicians.
You
Okay.
name
Yes. So that but that still does play in my head. And also, like I said, when I was talking earlier, the words that were trying someone was trying to destroy me with at one point in time, I thought I was those words. I actually lived to be those words. So now I know those words had to be returned to the sender because I'm huge on if you say something negative to
Yeah.
me, I'm returning it to the sender.
Yeah.
It no longer resonates with anything that I have.
Yeah.
It's back on you.
Very good. I'm having a throat issue here, y'all, and it's because I got so much to say, and I'm trying to keep part of it down so y'all can have a time to speak. So excuse me for the clearing my throat. I just got so much that I want to say. Anyway, reflecting on your past. I'm not going to dig into this one too much because that's what we were doing when we talked about the stories from the past. It is okay to reflect on your past for two reasons, in my opinion. To remind yourself from whence you came, reflecting on your past. I was in a place where I did not think I was worth the clothes that were on my back. So, reflecting on the past to see where you are now, as well as reflecting on your past to see what else about your story do you need to rewrite. What else about your story do you need to rewrite? So, reflecting on your past has a key component when it comes to the steps of rewriting your story. You got to look back on the past because if we're rewriting, what are you rewriting without looking back on the past? You're not going to know what that is. So, our next point regarding this, the steps of rewriting your story, identify the positive truths. Now, this one here, think about that for a second, ladies, and be ready to respond. Identify the positive truths about you in the process of you rewriting your story. Ms. Clivia, what say you on that?
Yeah, I believe for me, it's really know how strong I am, right? I can do all things through Christ. And every limiting disbelief, right? I'm now able to tap into who God made me, who I am, and whose I am. So it's really understanding I can go through things and still stand strong. So that's what I definitely, when I look back over my life and I think
Yeah.
things over, I can truly say
Yes.
I have been blessed. And I went through that test to have a testimony.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes. Yes. Miss
Hallelujah.
Shirley?
So, you guys know I've been saying this a long time that uh, God doesn't make junk. We do when we don't use our God given gifts and talents, right?
Amen.
And so for me, um, I've been given gifts. That's the truth. I've been given the gift of communication,
Yeah.
the gift of honesty, the gift of integrity, the gift of authenticity, the gift of saying it like it is with no fluff,
Hmm.
respectfully, right? And so for a while though, it was like you doing too much, Shirley, right? And I was supposed to do too much for the people who don't think they're enough just yet. So for me, the truth for me is that I have I have touched many lives. And I don't even know that I've said this publicly, right? Because sometimes we got to worry about being bragging and staying humble, right? And the hell with that. The
That's
hell
right.
with that.
That's right.
Because first of all, if you don't know who you are, what you bring to the table, that you are the damn table, right?
Hmm.
Who else gonna believe you when you get to the table,
Right.
right? So you
Mhm.
got to come ready. And so my truth is that I know I was not brought here to be a slug or a slacker. I was brought here to save other women who died like my mother at age 39, right? And so at 39, and I'd only been 12, what, 31 days. So technically, I only had her for 30 days. I mean, for 13 years, right? And so I don't want another woman within my earshot
Yeah.
to leave this planet because she thought she wasn't enough, seeking the love of men who don't know how to love because they weren't taught it, right? And learning how to helping each woman how to teach her how to love herself. And then when people see, they're like, well, damn, I better go
Mhm.
get some better shoes. Did you see hers? Well, damn, did you see her hair done? I ain't had my beard shaved in a while, right? So you teach people how to treat to how
Yeah.
to treat you. So for me, the truth is I've been given gifts, and I will admit there's been times I've squandered them because of that stinking thinking I call those self-limiting beliefs. But the truth is I was put here to be a servant leader, and I got work to do.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Miss Marcy?
Once again, Shirley, yes. Um, when I realized that I am a healer, I am here to lift women. I'm here to lift people, but especially women, because when I tell my story, when and when I I'm sorry, I just had a moment. Just I'm a healer. On Sunday, I was somewhere, and this is a person. It was a guy, and I've seen him many times. Never spoke to him before, but we started talking, and when we started talking, God took over the conversation, and I was able to talk to him in a way that it not broke him down, nothing, um, not breaking him down, softening his heart. And Shirley Ann, when you said you was a healer, God brought that to my forefront. I'm a healer. I'm the healer for the men and the women. Um, I am God's favorite daughter. And like I said, when I'm a shift shaper and a water bender, and I had to remember, I had to learn that these are my qualities. This is what's in my DNA. My ancestors have been waiting for me to acknowledge it and to say it loud and to say it with my chest and not to be ashamed of what I am. I'm God's favorite daughter.
Yes.
So, ooh, okay. Yeah.
Woo, y'all. I told y'all this conversation is electrifying. It just I love it. I
Man,
love it. I love it. So now, okay, we talked about the positive truths, owning your truth, and mine is I'm a powerful being. I when I speak, people listen, and I'm not bragging. It's a fact. When I speak, people listen, and I have been given that. To much is given, much is expected, right? Required. So I'm very careful about what I say, particularly when someone is asking for advice or they want to share with me. I'm very particular about waiting to be told what to say. So That's my positive truth. Create a new vision for your future. I was speaking with my mom this weekend. I went to go see her for Mother's Day, and we were talking about how important it is to teach the young people things we didn't know, right? And I said, well, Mom, I didn't teach my kids X, Y, or Z because I didn't have a vision for it. And I also added to that, the reason I didn't have a vision is because of the circle I was in. At that time, and this is fact, I was the smartest person in my circle. I was the one that everybody came to for most things, right? So therefore, they were depending on me to expand their vision, but I didn't have anyone to expand my vision so I could see what my future could look like and the things I needed to do to um, bring that vision to be, right? Um, so so what I'm thinking about that, because like things with finance or building your dream or going to different workshop, why am I paying $250 to sit down and talk to somebody? That was my thoughts back then. I got bills to pay, I got this, that, and the third, right? But that investment in myself, I have learned that's how I'm going to create a vision for what it is that I desire for myself. What I desire for myself is going to evolve into something much greater than I have a vision for in this moment. Thus giving me a vision for what? Greater. For greater. Why? Because I want to create it, but I got to have a vision for it. So, ladies, creating a new vision for your future, the steps to rewriting your story. If you can share with me what that looks like for you to create a new vision for your future, Miss Marcy.
Write a love letter to yourself.
Ooh.
I know we've been in circles, and I've said this on several occasions. Actually, last night, I wrote an affirmation letter, and I wrote a love letter to myself. I wrote action of action of affirmations, and then a love letter to myself. And that is the way I like to give my vision of for my future. And then I have luxury words. So when I write, instead of writing in my voice, I have like 6 pages of luxury words. And I'd be
Nice.
like, oh, and you will da 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 da, and you have, and and when I read the letter back again, I was like, ooh, I'm loving this for me. I love this for me.
Yeah.
So write a love letter to yourself.
Miss Shirley, what you have to say about this?
So I got two ways I'm gonna come at it. Okay. So my first one, some people might feel a little morbid for a minute, but just walk with me. I would suggest that everyone do a eulogy. Write your eulogy in the third person.
Yeah.
Right. I want to say it's 40 years ago. I went to a workshop. I paid back then it was $125 that I didn't have. I had a little baby, but I went to that and it said to write your eulogy in a third person as if you were somebody else writing it for you, your
Mhm.
child, your mother, your brother, father, whoever. And then look at it. And if you're not living the way you should be for them to say that stuff about, because you've been to funerals where folks lie, oh, they were so good, so nice, knowing what's up, right? So for me, I think that's so important because it's what helped me kind of change my narrative about how I'm living. Because when I go,
Yeah.
first, I'm hoping all the men I know be in the back row, right? Well, in the whole back portion. Let me just say that they might be out the door, but then I want my sisters to be able to get in there, listen to what they have to say, get in there and listen to what people have to say, and I hope they stand up and say the truth about me as I was to them, because I walk what I talk, and I'll play around with it. So I think that that's so very important. And then the other part is I've talked about this when we first met 4 years ago. Them dreams up on them shelves.
Yes.
You ain't wrote nothing new because you're still doing old stuff. because you're afraid to go dust them off and put the work in to see if those dreams will come true. Because again, God, whoever your God is, He didn't give you those dreams to sit up there and grow. They sent them to you. He didn't send them to you and say, "Oh, pass them over to Marcy, pass them to K. Ron, pass them to Cliff." They gave them to you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So therefore, dust those dreams off, and you're gonna have a new vision because you haven't been living your real life, your real truth.
Yeah. 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 Love that. Miss Clivia. Oh, I'm sorry, Miss
Shirley Ann,
Marcy. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Shirley Ann. I was in one of your classes, workshops, something, the many things we did. And yes, I remember writing my eulogy. Um, but I also was writing it in a time of desperation. So, but that was some good stuff that I went back to read it and I could see the change.
Lovely. Lovely.
That's what's up.
Miss Clivia.
Yeah, I actually did both. I wrote a letter to my inner child, my younger self, and also my dad. He preached some years ago, and he had the deacon built a coffin and this whole thing where people thought they was actually attending his funeral. And that was one of our assignments. What would people say at your eulogy? Write your own eulogy. And just, we were talking about that dash, right, between our beginning of our, life and end of life. What would that dash look like?
Mhm.
And, for me, I just thinking about what that vision would look like, owning my first home, right? Traveling the world with my children and my spouse, speaking on global stages, and just doing the things that I know I was called to do, but also being recognized for it. And I've never been the person that wanted to be recognized, but the world would know who
Yeah.
I am because of the impact and the story that I'll share, and just being a
Yeah.
difference for sure.
Having vision, before we go to the next topic, just want to say really quick, having a vision for what you can create for yourself is very important. Because once you've achieved a certain level, because we're here for impact, that growth is important. So when you have a vision, you brought that vision to fruition. It's not like it's a building, you can only stay right there at that spot. And even if it was a building, you can build a new building, right? So having a vision for what your greater can be, what your next is, having a vision for more is where I believe the growth begins. Oh, wait a minute. I think I want
Yeah.
to XXXX, right? And then you start to develop a plan around that. So, yes, yes, yes. Create a new vision for your future. This is all
Yeah.
about rewriting your story. So, that next point that we're going to get to is affirm your new narrative. Yes. I love this because it got one of my favorite words, affirm, speak well about yourself. So now that I have this new narrative, because I know what my greater is, what my new vision is, as Miss Marcy has said so many times, using those luxury words towards that new narrative, affirming that new narrative, speaking in the positive of that new narrative. Now somebody can say, now here she go with this positive talk. Look, without you telling yourself these things are possible, it may be even more difficult. It may be difficult for you to achieve them. So speaking well about
Mhm.
this new narrative that we have written for ourselves. For me, I'll just say it really briefly. I can, and I
Yes.
will. I have it written somewhere else.
Yeah.
Somewhere else I have it written. She saw it and she did it. She
Yes.
saw it and she did it. I see my vision and I am doing my vision. I'm living out my vision and it keeps evolving. So, ladies, what say you about this? Affirm your new narrative. What you got, Miss Marcy?
Oh, everything that I ask for, everything that I pray for is given to me by God, the universe, and my ancestors because they see me in the place that I should be. Not the place where I
Mm,
think I am, but where the gods, the universe, and my ancestors think I should be.
love
Yeah.
that. Love that, Miss Shirley.
I'm necessary and I'm valuable.
Mm,
And I am okay with just that.
Yeah.
Miss Clivia.
That's good. I am, period. And I could say I am dot dot dot, fill in the blank, but I am so much more than what I thought I was. So I am. Hence, I am from A to Z, right?
Yes, exactly. Before we get to the next topic, I just want to say that we just all just said our affirmation just then. Okay. And I want our audience to please pay attention to just how easily those affirmations were just spilled out of our mouths because of our narratives we have for ourselves. We didn't have pencil and paper to write, it just came out of our mouth to speak the affirmative of what it is that we desire. And that's the crux of this show, about speaking the affirmative about what it is you desire. As I said earlier, what you think you will speak, what you speak you will do. And when you do, what it is you desire will come to life. I just added that extra part on there. Okay, our next point to cover. Act as a person you are. What, Miss Marcy?
Becoming.
Speak to us, girls. Speak to us.
Walk in that power, walk in the authority that you know. When you look at somebody and you admire them, how wonderful they are, whatever. No. You walk in your authority. If you can wear high heels, you know you have to have your back straight and you stride. And that's how you become the person you want.
Miss Clivia, what say you on this? I love
Yes.
it.
I'll piggyback right off of you, Marcy. Walk into the room like God sent you. I mean, walk in that daily with confidence. Even when you don't believe it, He goes before you. So just walk in that room like God sent you. And that's what I'm so humbled because that's what I'm doing, and doing it daily with that confidence. Even when self-doubt kicks in and all these other things kick in, I still walk into the room like God sent me.
Miss Shirley.
You know, I have an affirmation for this
Oh,
because every day I am unearthing my greatness.
oh.
Every day. When I said before I couldn't do technology and I can't do this and who am I to do that? And I step out on faith and I do
Yeah.
it. So every day I'm becoming. And there was a point in time where I was hiding because I know what it takes to be successful. Because if you've done it once, you can do it again.
Again, exactly.
And I was running from the commitment to be committed to something because it's work.
Mhm.
It ain't easy, right?
Yeah,
But you could do it.
absolutely.
And so for me, every day I'm unearthing my greatness.
Every day I am unearthing my greatness. Whew, that is such a statement of action. A
Right.
statement of action, right? So let me get to this last point because I can go on and on about this topic here. Overcoming resistance, and I'm gonna add a little bit more to that. Of overcoming resistance that you create for yourself, not outside resistance, internal resistance. Overcoming the limiting beliefs, that negative talk, not having a big enough vision. I've heard people say that if your dream doesn't scare you, it ain't big enough. It ain't big enough. And I think about my bigger vision all the time, and I get so scared. I get so scared because I know the responsibility that comes. And that's what shakes me. Because of my vision being so big, it's the responsibility that goes with it. I'm gonna have people, I have people coming to be on my payroll. I will be the one to make sure they get, well, God is going to show me how to make sure they get paid, right? That's a big responsibility. Miss Shirley knows. She said she had 150 plus employees. She's responsible for making sure that the money's coming in the door so she can make payroll. That makes me shaking my boots a little bit. But I know that's part of my greatness, though. I know this without a shadow of a doubt. So overcoming that resistance, knowing that God is supplying all my needs and that not one payroll will be missed. Actually, I'll be able to give bonuses because the money will be flowing like that. You hear me now? So come
Yes.
on, ladies, give me what you got to say on our last point of overcoming resistance.
Yeah, I think giving myself grace, the same grace that I give to people, give to myself, and understanding and affirming all these things that God has it all in control. So why even worry about it? And like you said, certain things, it might scare us when we think about these plans that we have, these big plans, but we serve a big God. So it's already taken care of. So it's just really affirming and believing all things are possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Know your calling. Know that this is what God has called you to do, and then walk in that authority that God has called. Because He's not going to call you to something and you're going to fail.
Mhm.
Facts.
When He calls you, that's your
Mm,
calling.
Amen.
lovely.
So I have a statement for this. What you resist persists. Okay.
Amen.
So you can run, but you can't hide. I
Right.
can tell you that from day one, you know, being younger, entering into junior high and high school, people would be like, Shirley, you say this, or you tell the teacher this, or you ask for this, right? And I'm like, why you keep coming to me? Little did I know I was gifted with the big mouth of communication at that time, right? And so therefore I kept running from leadership roles, you know. Well, why don't you be the captain of the basketball team? I'm 5'2". Let the 6'2" girl be the captain of the basketball team. Well, no, you're a league. No, I'm not. I'm chicken. You know, they slapping my ball all the way to half court. So all of those things I resisted. You know, starting this business, I needed to feed my babies and I needed to take control of my life. And I couldn't listen to what people said. Who are you to have a garbage company? You're a woman. Well, who puts out the garbage? Who make the garbage? Who cook and make the garbage? Shut up. I know what I'm doing. I'm about to make this sexy. I make garbage sexy, right?
Yes.
There we
All of
go.
that being said, what we resist persists. So
Yeah.
if there is something poking and prodding at you and won't leave you alone, just grab that thing, kiss it, and say, let's get married and let's do the darn thing,
Love it.
Yes.
right? Because it ain't going away until you deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to wrap
Mm-hmm.
around your ankles. It's going to wrap around your neck and it's going to hold your arms down, right?
Yeah.
Until you say, come on up here and let's talk about it. I'm going to
Yeah.
give it a try. And what's the worst that could happen? One, it's off your mind.
Yeah.
Two, you're no longer resisting it. Three, you've tried it and either you won or you learned something and now you can grow further from it. So
Yeah.
there's no other way but straight through it. So there's
Mm-hmm.
no need in us resisting. I spent a lifetime resisting a whole bunch of stuff. And here I am talking about,
Right.
all right, you just gonna be this coach and gonna speak and be this leader because you've been chosen.
Yeah.
You've been given these gifts. So shut up about it. Shut
Yeah.
up, and handle your business, girl.
Amen.
I love what everybody had to say about this because when it comes down to rewriting your story, all the points that we covered today are critical to you being successful at getting started, not allowing the limiting beliefs to stop you. It may cause you to pause, but there's so much power in the pause because that's where you can recollect yourself, refocus yourself, speak different language in your head and out of your mouth, just as long as it doesn't stop you. So when we're rewriting our stories, we're rewriting because that's the power we've been given. We've been given the power to do things such as rewrite our stories. So let's
Yeah.
get to these affirmations, y'all. We've been going at this longer than I thought it was. I was like, oh my gosh, look what time we have. So let me get to it. But it's just been an electrifying conversation, and I'm so
Yes.
grateful for you all. So my affirmation to bring us to a close in this episode. I release the old stories that no longer serve me. I am creating a new narrative based on love, strength, and possibility.
Love it.
I am the author of a powerful new chapter. My life is a masterpiece of luxury, purpose, and divinity.
Love it.
Mm,
I trust that God, the author and finisher of my fate, is rewriting my story, empowering me to take control of my narrative because my story matters.
wonderful. Our scripture.
Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I'm doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. Isaiah
Ooh,
43, verse 18 to 19. That was good.
love that. So I'm going to give way to Miss Shirley, um, to any parting words that she wants to share with us, how we can get in contact, how our audience, because we know how to reach you, we got your number, but how the audience can get in contact with you to take part in all of the wonderful things you have on your table to offer. What say you, ma'am?
So first, I want to give my affirmation.
Oh, okay.
So I am worthy of the same energy and effort that I give to others.
Ooh.
Yes.
And I say that because as women, you know, we don't always put ourselves first.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because we're talking about rewriting our stories, right? And in order for us to do that, we've got to put some energy and love into ourselves. And I think that is first and foremost. And I super duper want to thank you all for, inviting me to this. And I heard I was the second, so I'm feeling special. I ain't got to be first all the time. Second is good. Um, I'm grateful for it. And I've been able to watch um, all of you blossom from when we first started and when we first met. And one's a year, but the other one's almost 4 years, 3.5, 4 years. And that's what it's about. When you find your tribe and your community that truly support you and help you be who
Yeah.
you're supposed to be by pushing you and by loving on you. We push and we love, we push and we love, we push and we love. And Marcy, when you started to say you know, you were rewriting your story when we all met and we all loved in on you, you almost made me cry. I was like, they don't cry in podcasting because I'd never been a part of that many women just converging immediately and said, let's get on this Zoom because we got a sister that needs us. And for me, that instilled in me that no matter how sometimes women can be catty and chatty and all that other stuff, that we are so powerful.
Yeah.
So
And
powerful.
when there is power in numbers. So if there's any woman listening to this and you're flying solo still in your life, you got 4 women here that you're now listening to that you can reach out to.
Mm-hmm.
No, no man is an island, right? And we were put here for connection.
Yes.
And we learned through COVID how mental health, this is mental health month, how our
Mm-hmm.
mental health was in jeopody because we couldn't have these connections. Don't go without connections
Yeah.
and disconnect from the shit that no longer serves you, please.
Amen.
We were built for greatness.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's great.
Thank you, Miss Shirley. And where can everybody find you? I see it on the screen, but I want you to speak to it, please.
So you can find me on shirleyfelderonline.com, Facebook, Shirley Ann Felder, because my mama gave me that whole name. That is my government name. Big Mama Cheryl on Instagram and TikTok and everywhere else, LinkedIn, all of my full name, Shirley Ann Felder.
Excellent, excellent. And affirmers, you see it on the screen. You just heard Shirley, and I just want to thank you, Miss Shirley, for answering the call. I love saying that because we're always answering a call of one kind or another, right? Saying yes to the call because this show is one of the top ones. It's just been an electrifying conversation, and to hear feedback from women who have had different walks in life, but yet have learned similar lessons, that
Mhm.
I find absolutely powerful. So thank you, affirmers, for listening. Thank you for being a part of this community. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Hit that subscribe button and go ahead and like, share, and comment. We love to hear what you have to say about the show. You can always email us or hit us up on any of the platforms, but particularly here on YouTube, on this channel that we have dedicated to you for us to share our nuggets of wisdom. We want to know what you have to say about what we're doing here. So please feel free to share that. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. But before I go, Miss Clivia, what's that thing we say at the end of every show?
You are your first priority. So act like it.
Yes. So yes, yes, and yes, you guys. Thank you again, as I said earlier, for being here. Miss Shirley, thank you for being our special guest today. This episode is
Thank
one
you.
for the books, y'all. So make sure y'all
Yes.
go ahead and save this one to your playlist so you can play it over and over because you're not gonna get it all in one sitting, okay? So make sure you do that. And until the next time, peace and blessings to you all. Bye bye
Bye.
now.
Very much.